Hi, everyone, and welcome to this next Minisode of the Wine Pair Podcast. I'm Joe, your sommelier of reasonably priced wine, and this is my wife and my wine pairing partner in crime, Carmela.
Hello.
And we are the Wine Pair.
Wow, what an introduction.
I had to do it twice, ladies and gentlemen. Just so you know, I had to pause. I will edit it out, but I did say it twice. Okay.
Yes.
If you're new to the Wine Pair Podcast, these minisodes are just shorter versions of the regular podcast that we put on, and we put these on weeks where maybe we're traveling or just dealing with life or paying taxes or whatever that kind of stuff is. And so instead of tasting and reviewing 3 wines under $20 that are easy to find, which is what we usually do, in the minisodes we focus on things like wine etiquette or wine education or wine tips, right?
Yes.
Fun stuff.
So fun.
Right?
Yeah.
And we try to make
we can do it in the middle of the day.
Exactly, because we're not drinking wine and getting schnockered.
Exactly.
That's right. And we do try to make these fun and understandable so that regular people like Carmela can understand
My
them.
God, back to why am I the regular one?
I don't know.
Maybe that's a good thing.
Maybe it is a good thing.
Because better to be normal than abnormal.
You're right, like me. And Decanter Magazine calls our podcast fun and witty and chatty and entertaining, and I think called you normal.
I think so. I think they said all those things about you and then said, in normal Carmela.
She doesn't do any of that weird stuff. Okay, in this minisode, Carmela, we're going to give our friends out there in listening land a quick primer. And although it looks like primer, the proper way to pronounce it is primer.
Oh, God. Here
a quick
comes the
primer
English teacher.
on red blends. Red blends. Okay. Carmela, when you go to the grocery store or a wine shop, do you ever notice that there are just a lot of wines called red blends?
Yes, I do. Now more than ever.
And what do you think about that when you see them?
Well, I'd like to see what's in the red blend.
She's like a genius. Go for it. Keep going.
Well, no, I'm just saying that's always interesting to me. And sometimes it's like an exciting blend for me and my taste, but sometimes it's like, not getting it.
And a lot of times it's just like, they don't even tell you. And that's
right,
what
and that's
really...
a weird thing. Then I'm actually not interested in a wine that I don't know what the grapes are.
I fully agree, but I think a lot of people just don't know what to make of it. And like, what is a red blend? I don't know. Maybe it'll be good.
And then why do people say, oh, I really like red blends?
Well, this is one of those things, Carmela. So you're totally leading right into it.
Oh, okay.
This is one of those things like when people say, I like rosé. It's like, well, what?
Yeah.
Like, it just depends on the grapes. And it's the same thing with red blends. It's actually one of the things that drives me crazy about a lot of red blends is that they don't tell you what grapes are in the wine. And that's a problem because, after all, it's the grapes that determine what the wine is going to taste like. And so if you just see red blend, it doesn't give you any idea about how that wine's going to taste or what you're going to experience. You have to know the grapes. It's just like a rosé or an orange wine or whatever. You got to know
like anything.
what the grapes are. Yeah. Exactly. So my first rule of thumb is exactly the same as your rule of thumb. And I'm holding up my thumb as if the rule is on my thumb.
Yes, I can see it right on there.
That's right. But if you don't know what's in the red blend, I would say stay away.
Well,
because you just don't know.
Say no.
Say no. Just say no. And my expectation too, and the reason for that is because I feel like if they're not going to tell you, or at least the style of red blend,
they're hiding something.
Yeah, they're exactly. What is it that they're trying not to tell you? Are they just trying to tell you that it's a bunch of crappy or random red wine grapes? That they've just like, well, let's slap that together and call it red bend, red blend.
That would be weird.
And get them on a bender. Okay. Now, there are some things to know about red blends in this primer that I think will be helpful. There are really 2 classic red wine blends that originated in France that are sort of the parents of all red blends. Now, this is not totally true. There are other red blends out there, but there are really 2 fundamental types that I think wine people who are trying to learn about wine need to know. Okay. There's the Bordeaux style blends that come from the Bordeaux region of France, and the GSM blend, also known as the Grenache Syrah Mourvedre blend, or the Rhone blend, because it comes from the Rhone Valley of France, or it has those 3 grapes, Grenache, Syrah, and Mourvedre in them. Okay? So those are the 2 main types. There's 2 main types, Bordeaux blends and GSM blends. Okay. So let's start with the Bordeaux blends. Okay. The main wine grapes usually found in a Bordeaux blend will be very common to people. You may be surprised if you don't already know. Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc.
Hey, I think I could have gotten that right.
Yeah. And then there are some other ones like Petit Verdot and Malbec. And there can even be others. And the exact mix or proportion of the different wines in a Bordeaux blend can vary a ton, but those are kind of the key ones. Now, most of the time, these wines are blends in Bordeaux. In Bordeaux, I mean specifically, but sometimes there are single varietals. What's interesting is one of the most famous Bordeaux wines is made of only or mostly Merlot, not Cabernet Sauvignon, but Merlot, and like a Chateau Petrus from Pomerol. Now, many of the red wine blends, Carmela, that are made outside of France are based on Bordeaux blends. It's the most common because Cabernet is central or Merlot is central to a Bordeaux blend. And what's interesting is that Cabernet Sauvignon, which everybody knows and a lot of people love, and we've talked about this, and it's often sold outside of France as its single varietal, is most often a blending wine in France. It's pretty uncommon to find, or at least would have been traditionally, to find just a Cabernet Sauvignon in France. It would have been part of a blend, because you want to mellow it out. You want to add some things to it to give it some flavor. Now, there are some other blends that you may have heard of that are based on Bordeaux blend, but they give them a different name, and this is pretty common. I always found this confusing, and so learning about this actually helped me. There are blends called Meritage blends. Sometimes you see this. It looks like heritage, but it's with an M, Meritage, or Claret or Claret, which is Meritage is an American version of a Bordeaux blend, and a Claret or a Claret is a British name for a Bordeaux blend. So if you see those, they're basically Bordeaux blends. So I think that's some valuable information you can just put in your pocket. If you see a Meritage, you can say, oh, that's actually a Bordeaux blend from America.
Yeah, that's smart because they may not tell you the exact grapes, though, but they'll have that written on the bottle.
Yeah, and if it's a Bordeaux style blend, or so here's a few things. If you see like Cabernet Merlot, so Cabernet Franc, something in there, you know it's a Bordeaux style blend. If it says Meritage or Claret or Bordeaux style blend, you know that's what it is, right? So you can kind of make those, you can kind of know a little bit better if you just kind of see that. And then a Bordeaux style blend is usually pretty full-bodied. It's a lot like a Cabernet and a Merlot. Pretty full-bodied, highly tannic, also fruity, sometimes oaky. Fruity, oaky, and sometimes considered very complex. And a lot of times, if they're well done, they can age for a long time.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Now, GSM blends, again, are often called Rhone-style blends, and they are made usually only from these three grapes: Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre, which again is GSM. There can be other types of grapes mixed in various amounts or proportions, but that's pretty rare. And of GSM, the proportions can vary. Like you may have a Grenache heavy one, you might have a Syrah heavy one. There can be different blendings of a GSM blend. Now, sometimes you will see wines made outside of Rhone labeled as GSM, but you should know that other wines made from GSM blend in France are some things you may have heard of. A Chateauneuf du Pape is a GSM. And a Côte de Rhône blend from France is a GSM.
And those are quite nice wines.
Yeah, and also a Priorat or a Priorat from Spain is also a GSM style blend. It's just a Spanish name for it. So those are some things you may see. Again, like people are like, oh, I love Chateauneuf du Pape, which is great. That's a GSM blend. Then you love GSM blends. You love Rhone blends. That's really what you're kind of saying. Australia, which is really well known for Syrah, also makes quite a few GSM blends.
What do you prefer?
Of the two?
Of the two blends.
You know, I'm not a big fan of either, to be quite honest with you.
I know.
But that's just personal choice. I think it's funny, you know, when we were in New York a number of months ago, Kira, our son's girlfriend, works at a restaurant. And it's a French restaurant. And we went and I ordered a wine and the wine steward went to her and she asked, well, what did they order? And it was a Bordeaux blend. And Joey's girlfriend, Kira, she said, well, that wasn't my boyfriend's father did not order that. And I was like, I did. Because I was very curious.
She was shocked. Yeah. It wasn't not something you would typically order.
No. And here's why. You know, I don't typically love standalone varietals like Cabernet Sauvignon or Merlot. Generally. Not always. Sometimes I do really like them. And so I have this in my head like, oh, I'm not going to like that. But actually, Bordeaux blends are really nice because they do. The mixing of the wines brings out some of the great features of the grapes and tamps down some of the bad, or not bad, but the things that I don't like as much. Yeah. A GSM blend, you know, I think you'll like a GSM blend. It's a little, if you like kind of spicier wines, a little more fruit forward, I would say, like a more of a punch you in the face with fruit kind of wine. Like those are GSM blends. I think Bordeaux blends are more rich and complex, and I think GSM can be a little bit more aggressive from that like fruit standpoint. They tend to be a little lighter bodied and medium and softer tannins than a Bordeaux blend. But again, I think it's that fruit forward and spicy, juicy black fruit kind of nature that I like, but I don't love it. I tend to find that the style is, I think if you like California wines, you like that style, I think you really like GSM blends. And so this is not judgment. This is not like they're good or they're bad or whatever.
Right. It's
just
just
what
your
you
preference.
prefer.
Exactly.
Exactly. So again, this should be a helpful little primer to help you. The two main blends, the Rhone style blend, the GSM blend, or the Chateauneuf du Pape blend, I can almost say it, and the Bordeaux blend, which is the Cabernet Merlot, Cabernet Franc.
Yeah, well, just knowing the different types of grapes that go into a blend
makes
is
such a difference.
So helpful. Yes. Yeah. You're not like, a shot in the dark trying to figure out if you're going to like it, or somebody that you're giving it to or bringing it somewhere.
Right.
It's good to know.
And if they say, oh, what's this wine like? You can say, oh, do you like Cabernet? Or, oh, do you like Syrah? Or do you like, and they'll say, oh yeah, I like that. And you say, well, then you'll probably really like this blend. Right. But again, the only way to really know is to taste. And that, like we say all the time.
And that's the most fun.
Yeah, exactly. And so then you know what kind of blends you start to like. And maybe you like blends from that same blend, like a GSM blend, you may really like from France and not like as much from Australia or California, or vice versa. You're like, maybe I love Australian versions of the blends, but I don't really like the French versions.
Right.
Because they're going to be different.
Right.
So I think that's the way, that's what you need to do. You just got to taste it. And again, when you're looking for wines and you're faced with a red blend, if you don't know what's in it, walk away. But again, like, you're looking at a red wine blend, at least based on either the grapes or what it says on the bottle, you have a little bit of an idea of maybe what it is. Right. And you can have a little bit of sense in if you're going to like it or not.
I love it.
So good enough, yeah?
That's really helpful,
Good primer?
I loved your primer.
Okay.
Your primer was primal.
Ooh. That was kind of nice. I like that. You haven't called me primal for a long time.
Wow.
Okay.
I take that back. No.
On that note, it's time for us to end this minisode. So you can check out our other minisodes or our other episodes, our full-length episodes, where you can learn more stuff. You can find those on our website or on your favorite podcast service. You can follow us on Instagram at The Wine Pair Podcast, or you can visit our website at thewinepairpodcast.com. And in any of those places, you can reach out to us. And you can also email us at joe@thewinepairpodcast.com. And we'll have our show notes on the website, so you don't have to memorize all the stuff. There's links, there's notes, etc. So you can come over to our website and look for this minisode and find out the information. Perfect. And so we would love it. Yeah, perfect. So we would love it if you'd follow us and subscribe to us and give us a nice rating and review as a free way to support us. And we hope to see you soon. And remember, like we always say, life is short, so stop drinking shitty wine.
Yes.
Bye-bye. Primal. That's very primal.
So primal. Wow.
And the happy ending at the end of our story. Always think too much.